Hey performance golfers, I'm Jeff Ritter. Today I'm going to share with you 7 essential driving tips relative to your setup to help you hit more solid, longer flying, and straighter golf shots. Yes, I said 7 tips, and I know it sounds like a lot, but how you're setting up is going to really dictate how your club moves away from the ball. How your club moves away from the ball influences the top of the swing influences contact, and of course contact creates your outcome. So when I teach golf and I walk up to a student, I can usually see what kind of shot they're going to hit or what kind of ball flight I'm going to expect based on how they're setting up. So your setup is like the first domino that needs to fall in the right sequence. And if you get it right, boy, that swing's going to come together really nicely without a whole lot of effort. So the first thing we got to do is we have to have a little grip check. I've done a couple videos today. In every video we talked about the grip. And the thing that we need to understand is that if you have your hands turned too much towards the target, if you got the club too much in the palms of your hands versus the fingers a little bit more, it is really hard to create speed, and it is really hard to get your club face squared up to that swing path through contact. So the first thing I want you to do is just make sure this lead hand, especially if you're slicing, is turned well away from the target. About a 45-degree angle out of that lead hand, that palm is looking down. I'm holding this club in the fingers. The heel pad of my hand is up on top. So if I'm looking down at my hands right here, I should be able to see 1, 2, even a portion of this third knuckle. If I have the right connection with my fingers, I should be able to create a nice hinge with my wrists. My trail hand, definitely more in the fingers. This little pocket of my trail hand palm is going to sit right on top of this lead thumb. Don't want to spend too much time on the grip, but give yourself a little grip check. Make sure that your grip is strong enough. Make sure you can absolutely create some movement out of those joints. From here, the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that the handle of this golf club right here is a little bit forward and a little bit up. Number one thing I see as a problem with most slicers is the handle is low and the handle is back. So if I have the handle back, this club face is going to be looking off to the left, and the swing path will also tend to move off to the left. If I have the handle low and the handle back, you can see how my shoulders are a little bit too level, and that's going to, with this driver right here, that's going to make this club hit too much down into the ground. So if we think about good drivers of the golf ball, long drives of the golf ball, people who have a draw bias with their driver, well, the first player that comes to mind for me right now is Bryson DeChambeau. And when he's taking his setup, you're going to notice that he's got a lot of height out of that handle. It's pointing at his belt line or slightly above, and the handle of the club is forward so that it's underneath your lead shoulder or at least off your lead heel. So if you can get a stronger grip, tip 1, nice connection. The second thing I need you to do with this driver is you got to get this handle forward, and we got to raise it up just a little bit.
All right, guys, quick break from today's video. Look, if you want to make massive improvements with your game and actually get way better in 2025, you got to do something different than you've done before. And one of those things that I highly recommend is checking out these 2-day schools that my friends at Performance Golf are hosting. These are with the best coaches in the world, people you see me in videos with all the time, like Martin Chuck, Angie Rice, Erika Larkin, many more of the top coaches at awesome places all around the United States. We're seeing great results with these schools because what we're able to do when we see you in person is really find and fix the main root issue. Most all of us have like 4 or 5 things wrong with our swing. You can't do them all at one time, but you can find and fix the main one thing, which we can do in person like that. We're able to make massive improvements. I'm talking like maybe 2 years of improvements in only 2 days. So if you're looking for something to really fast track your improvement, this could be the thing that could take you to the next level. We'll put a link in the description down below. Check it out, see if there's a spot available in a location that works for you.
The next thing that we're going to see is a different position out of this trail arm than I see at a lot of high handicap golfers. So while these high handicap players have the handle low and back, their trail arm is too much above or on top of their lead arm. And when you do that, the takeaway can go too much up and out as opposed to working in and up over your trail shoulder. And that backswing is going to create a crashing angle of attack and a swing path to the left. And of course, if you have the face open to the path, now you got yourself a slice. So we've got a stronger grip, better connection. The handle is forward and up. Now this trail arm needs to be a little bit more under the lead arm. So if we go ahead and take this trail hand and bring it into this grip here, a little bit more from this trail thigh, a little bit more underneath the club, still holding in the fingers, I want to see a little fold out of this trail elbow so the trail arm is below the lead arm. When I get in that position right there, something really nice happens. It puts my trail wrist and my trail elbow in the perfect position to simply increase their range of motion, get the wrist cocked, get the elbow folded, while creating a nice consistent arc from the ball up over your trail shoulder. So the top of my swing here, I feel like I can make a nice little sidearm throw where I'm directing the path of the throw or the path of my hand, in the case of golf, the path of the club head, a little bit more in to out as opposed to out to in. So with the trail hand under, the trail elbow rather, you can see I have a little bend backwards in that wrist, a little bend or fold in that elbow. This elbow is also kind of pushed a little bit more towards the middle of my body, but now as I swing back, boy, this arm is perfectly set to create a nice arc of the swing up to the top over that trail shoulder, again making an in-out path a lot easier. So we've got the grip, we've got the handle forward and up, we've got the trail elbow a little bit more under. Next thing you got to do is make sure your hips are in the right spot. So again, slicers tend to have their hips a little bit too far back, right? So my belt buckle, right, that represents my pelvis. Right now, if I'm standing in conversational posture, my belt buckle is right in the middle of my feet. Well, if I have that belt buckle in the middle, or even worse, drawn back away from the target, you can see how my weight moves back and my hips also tend to want to rotate more open. If I have my hips in that position, then that makes it really easy to get too much rotation out of my body. I get too much of a spin out of my hips, and now this club path is traveling too much left and across the ball. So if I'm trying to hit more of a draw, I'm trying to connect with this ball with more of an in-out swing path, in addition to having this different grip, handle forward and up, trail arm under, I need my hips a little bit more forward while my weight is more forward. So just taking my belt buckle, shifting it a little bit towards my lead heel, adding some more pressure to my lead foot, maybe 60-40, that's going to make it a lot easier for me to feel a little bit of lateral movement into the golf ball. And with those other adjustments, now I'm swinging in to out with a closing face, solid contact, nice little draw. All right, so now we've got a couple of things in our setup that are making it easier for us to get the club face, close the swing path, making it easier for us to create a little bit of a draw bias out of the path and movement of that golf club. So what if we wanted to add a little bit more speed or energy to the swing? Well, we'd have to create a little bit of turn, and we'd have to create a greater range of motion. So one thing I see out of golfers who don't hit the golf ball very far, who don't turn a whole lot in their backswing, is they set up with their feet a little bit too perpendicular to their target line. And if your feet are perpendicular, boy, that really stifles the ability for your hips to turn. And if your hips can't turn, your shoulders can't turn. And now you're getting to the top of your golf swing with far less rotation than would be acceptable, especially for a tee ball. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a little bit of flare out of our feet. Let those feet turn out a little bit ducky in opposing directions. And now with the feet flared out, that's going to make it easier for this trail hip to turn back in the backswing. It's going to make it easier to get more rotation out of your shoulders in the backswing. And then coming through, it's going to help you rotate through. It also helps you stay a lot more balanced at the end of your swing right there. So make sure you're adding some foot flare. The next little key adjustment is making sure that you're giving yourself a little bit of a head start with your hip and shoulder alignment relative to creating a nice backswing arc to your swing. And what you'll start to see here is that once one thing gets out of position, boy, you get this compounding effect that makes it really difficult to hit solid shots. So if you have a golfer that's got a weak grip, where that face is going to be open, if we have the handle low and back, right, that's going to create more of a slice bias. If I have my hips back and my weight back, boy, now my shoulders and my hips, they're wide open going to the left. So everything that you're seeing right here is telling this club to swing a little bit too much up and down across the ball with an open face, and boy, that's what you need to create that banana ball. So the next thing I want you to do after you flare those feet is just get your hips and shoulders cheated a little bit close to the target. See that? Just a couple of degrees closed. And now with this trail arm more under, boy, it feels really easy again to create this beautiful swing plane, this beautiful swing arc from the ball up to the top. Again, making it easy to capture that ball with an in-out path and again, that closing face. Okay, so here's the final tip. And this is one a lot of people don't know anything about. And it's where you gotta set up the ball relative to your club face at address. So from here, what we're seeing here is that if I turn to this camera for a second, if that ball is right in the middle of the club face right there, what I'll say in driving is that the club's on the ground, but the ball is elevated. And watch what happens the moment I raise the club head to the height of the ball. It's gonna shift the impact zone from the center off towards the heel. So the last little tip here in driving is, you should be setting the ball a little bit more towards the toe. This isn't a cheat, this isn't a workaround. If I set it towards the toe, and I swing and hit this ball with a slightly ascending club head as we get in driving, well, then we're gonna have this ball hitting more towards the middle of the face versus the heel. A heel hit is gonna create something called a gear effect. And this gear effect on a heel hit with your driver, well, that creates a slice spin. So sometimes you do everything right, the ball hits towards the heel, the ball slices, you think you have an open club face, but this time all you did was catch the ball more towards the heel versus the toe. So here we go, big recap. Grip a little stronger, activate those wrists, strong grip, strong hit. Make sure the handle is forward and up, at least off your heel, handle to your belt line, maybe a little bit above your belly. We need to have our weight forward and also our hips forward. That's gonna give us a little bit more lateral with our hip action of the ball, again, promoting more of an in to out sweeping contact. This trail elbow needs to be a little bit more under versus over. Get that trail elbow under, makes it easier for that trail arm to create a beautiful arc in plane of the swing up to the top. Flare those feet for a little bit of turn. Start off with everything just a little bit closed off. Set the ball towards the toe of the club. Once you get all that stuff done, man, all you gotta do is hit it right now, and away you go. So again, 7 setup tips. And I know that sounds like a lot, but your setup is something you do before you even swing. So if you can go through these one at a time, get in front of a mirror at home, get in front of some video, and start to understand what I'm saying here about how to build a setup to make your swing, like a set of dominoes, start falling in a more appropriate sequence. If you can get that right, you'll become more comfortable in just a couple of days. Once you're more comfortable, you're also more competent. And when you're setting up over that golf ball, if you're out here on the range, I might just stop and watch you hit a few, because if you look good, I'm expecting a beautiful swing and a beautiful shot. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Hope you learned a couple of things maybe you haven't heard of before relative to your setup. Any one of these adjustments alone will certainly create some improvement. If you can put them all together, of course, that's the ideal. Make sure you give us a like, subscribe to the channel, leave those comments below. Until next time, I'll see you on the lesson tee.